I got a couple trips coming up. We're driving.
I don't think I can find my Hardy time.
That's I bid for that one. There's another one. The summer.
You drive for Acme?
From the Army.
Acme?
No, it's completely separate.
What's that?
Acme's completely separate. They don't even contract with us.
Okay.
Why, I don't know.
They use parents or something?
Yeah. But we also have, you have volleyball conditioning, you have basketball conditioning, boys, girls, and all that. We take a trip on every day if we want. They're at camps, they go to camps and all sorts of places.
We'll be getting underway in about a minute. Todd here.
Yeah.
That's it. Tardy slips. Let's do homework. 5. Can't pass any members. 10, 9, 6, 5. Good evening and welcome to the Defiance City Council meeting for tonight, June 14th, 2022. Before we get underway, we have Pastor Ben Polson from Poplar Ridge Church as our guest, local minister who is going to open us up with prayer. Thanks for being our guest this evening.
Thank you for having me. Would you pray with me? Oh Lord, thank you for bringing us all here together tonight. I thank you for the men and women of this city who diligently serve and who seek your face, Lord. I pray that you would grant them wisdom, that the decisions they make would be honoring to you and the best for the people of this city. Lord, we thank you for Mr. Leonard and his faithful years of service. Pray you bless him in his retirement. We lift up Mr. Mack to you, Lord, and pray that you would guide him in this new endeavor, that you would give him wisdom as well. But thank you for all who give up their time to serve Defiance, Ohio. May you bless them all. We love you, Lord. Through Christ we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thanks for being our guest this evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Let the record show that all the members of council are present except for Mr. Uresti and Mrs. Crutch. Both of them contacted me and stated that they would be out of town today. Do we have a motion to excuse Mr. Uresti from tonight's meeting? Mr. Waxler, second.
Second.
Mr. Engel, all those in favor of excusing Mr. Uresti this evening, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? And do we have a motion to excuse Mrs. Crutch?
So moved.
Mr. Engel?
Second.
Second, Mr. Hancock. All those in favor of excusing Mrs. Crutch this evening, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, we'll excuse them this evening. In the meantime, please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any comments from council this evening? No comments from council? I don't have anything new on my desk this afternoon. Mayor McCann?
Thank you, President McMaster. Yes, first I'll start out by thanking the Elks. They had a very nice Flag Day ceremony here just a little bit ago, and it was well attended by members of our community and very nicely done. Second, I sent an email out to council, and you may want to talk about this in some sort of maybe an economic development, Mr. Engel, liaison meeting sometime in the future, but I sent a link to you today of the City of Tiffin's Facade program. And I guess I'll say a few weeks ago when we visited Tiffin and we arrived shortly, we went up into the second floor of a building, and as I sat there at the conference table and looked out the window down the street, I saw the facades of several very nice buildings. And whenever we got situated, we all introduced ourselves. one of our hosts said, does anybody have any questions before we get started? And I'm listening in and I said, yes. How did you get so many of those facades in your downtown looking so nice? He said, well, it's in my notes, but he said, we might as well talk about that right now. And quite a few years ago, they started a facade improvement program where it was a competitive grant that people applied for, and it's all in this document. And again, Mrs. Crutch and Mr. Rusty aren't here. I'm not so sure how far we should go with this evening. Mr. Leonard too, for that matter. And they started this facade program. So every year, building owners would apply for grants for facade improvements, only those facing the street. So a building owner on a corner would have two sides of their building facing the street. But for the most part, it's just the side facing the street. This is facade improvements only. In the past, CDBG grants were given for mechanical systems, roofs, and things like that. This isn't for that. This is facade work, paint, awnings, windows. So again, the answer went on to say that we award those grants. They're competitive. People apply. The application process is included in that link. And what the committee looks at and reviews these applications simply is which ones are going to accomplish the most with the money granted to them by the city. And so they talked about the fact that some building owners applied multiple years, $10,000, were awarded multiple years, $10,000 for window replacement, for example, or tuck pointing mortar and that sort of thing. So what I wanted to talk to council about was, as we look to 2023 budget, and we aren't that far away, we would like to put into the budget with some sort of a commitment from council, $50,000 to follow something like this program. And we'd like to start working on this piece now. We'd like downtown business owners to be aware that this program is coming, and they might want to start to get with contractors for facade type work. And that's really, I will say, Tiffin saw the progress they were making, and now they're actually at $100,000, but we're only gonna propose 50. That's what we'd like to talk about, but we'd like to get started on this program so that money can be granted in 2023. So it would be a line item in the budget later this fall and into the winter when we meet. So that's, again, I might suggest, Mr. Engel, that we consider a liaison meeting or a committee of the whole meeting for the end of the 28th when we're together again.
Okay.
That's entirely up to council.
All right. Today is the 14th. Next Tuesday is the 21st, so the next time we are together is the 28th.
Right. We'll have that at council as a whole.
So you're requesting a meeting of the council of the whole?
Mhm.
Okay. On Tuesday, the 28th, starting at 7 o'clock, here in this room in order to discuss adding,
Preliminary discussion on facade grants for the 2023 budget. How's that work?
sounds good to me.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
So you would have to vote, council would have to vote to establish itself as a committee of the whole.
So we have a motion, we have a second. Second. Mr. Engel,
Yes.
Mr. Hancock.
Yes.
Mr. Mast,
Yes.
Mr. Corbett,
Yes.
Mr. Waxler.
Yes.
All right, then we will be here 7 o'clock for a meeting of the whole. Next time we meet on Tuesday, the 28th, 7 o'clock. Anything else?
This is your last meeting.
Yeah. I know. So do they.
Were you expecting that?
No.
Why don't you guys all come up here?
Yeah.
Just come on up here. All of you.
2 of them are missing.
Watch the TV. Come on. Stand right in here. You're Elliot, right? I hear Elliot 3-4 times a day.
Where'd the rest go,
Get up
Joe?
here.
I don't know.
Get up here by Papa.
Go outside. Boy, it's hot.
Come on up here, family. Where's the other one?
They're coming, I believe. Sean went to get them with you.
So this is your family, and what you're ready for Pop to take you fishing.
Yeah.
You got a new golf partner.
Hopefully.
Oh boy.
I heard that
She's the one that's.
I heard that the other day. He already washed all the windows.
So what else is there?
Windows are done. Yard work's done.
Yep, all done.
Time to travel.
No, there's plenty of other things to do.
Well, I just want to congratulate you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So what do you think, Elliot? Fishing first, or
Yeah.
maybe get electricity on first?
What do you fish for? What kind of fish?
Bass,
What else?
bluegills.
Yeah.
Boy.
Remember that huge fish I had?
Yeah, I do.
Is he a catcher?
Well, he's already got your stories, huh? So
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Is he a catch and release guy there?
He's a catch and release guy. Well, he wasn't at first because Grammy here had to release the fish. He's learning
Now
how
he's
to
doing
take it
it.
off. He's learning how
But I
to take
take
the
the
fish
baby
off.
bass off.
You do?
I threw a bass back in before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna do a lot more fishing, aren't we?
Yes.
All right.
I'm pretty excited.
Anyways, we're gonna do a lot more fishing at the lake.
Yeah.
I can't say we're excited, but we're excited for you.
That's right.
Well,
Well, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
thank you. I'm not gonna kiss you. And that's all I have, sir.
Thank you. Congratulations, Mr. Leonard.
Thank you.
And anything for your last?
I really do have to thank a lot of people. My family first. They've endured 30 years of public service, which is, and it's a pretty long time, really. Mayor McCann for taking a chance on me. Well, you did. I mean, you didn't know what you're getting yourself into, and it's been a great relationship. It really has.
It's better than great.
Yeah. And thank you, because you've gave me this opportunity, and I want to thank you for it. It's something that, as I've grown up in this town, it's my hometown. It's been easy to sort of take care of. I've been in the fish bowl for a long time. That's 30 years is a very long time to be in that fish bowl, and I got to tell you, I'm really kind of glad to be away from it. I have to thank the workers. If I wouldn't thank the workers, honestly, they're great people. They're very skilled. They work hard. They come to work every day, and just like this morning, when you come into work, you never know what you're going to be faced with, and they're faced with a lot of branches down and a lot of problems out there, lines down, things like that. And they step up to the plate and they do their thing. And I've watched them do their thing for a very long time. And it's something that's just very, very impressive. So I have to thank them. And I have to thank the citizens of Defiance. Thank them for, really having the trust in me. At first it can be very complicated politically. You have to maneuver your way around certain politics of it. I've been able to do that. And if I'm most proud of anything is persevering through that political web sometimes that faces public officials. And I thank other members of the Board of Control because they're great people to work with. Ryan's going to be great. He'll do a good job. Sean, I've got to know over the last few years, and where David Williams has sort of left us, and Sean stepped right in, and he's been fabulous. And I have to thank John Leonard. John's been a good friend. John, you'll find all you have to do is look at the wall, and you'll recognize just how skilled he is as well. He's been a great colleague. He's a great friend, and I just have to thank everybody. So thank you. Todd, the press, you've always treated me fairly,
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
And I think if John were here, he would say that in his eyes, we're not only losing a darn good city administrator, but that he's losing a friend, although I think you'll connect on the weekends. Yeah.
Sure. So thank you. I really do appreciate it. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Mr. Mack?
Oh, one
Yeah.
other thing. Business, I have to call an executive session to discuss collective bargaining.
Executive session for this evening to discuss collective bargaining. Do we have a motion for executive session, Mr. Waxler?
Second.
Second? Mr. Hancock?
Yes.
Mr. Mast?
Yes.
Mr. Corbett?
Yes.
Mr. Waxler?
Yes.
Mr. Engel?
Yes.
All right, before we adjourn for this evening, we have an executive session,
At least one.
at least one.
And that was, part of that motion was 121.22G4, Mr. President.
It was.
I heard it, but
It
I
was
don't know if
implied.
everybody did.
Thank you.
catch there.
Mr. Mack,
That was a rough act to follow.
good luck.
First off, thank you, Jeff,
Yeah.
for taking me under your wing, showing me the ropes of the city here these last few months, and thank you for everything you've done for the community over the years.
Thanks.
Big shoes to fill. You're a giant in the community. You've done so much.
You'll be great.
Thank
You will. I mean that.
On to some business. I wanted to kind of inform council on last night's storm. It was a very busy evening, very busy early morning, very busy day for our city workforce. Between the hours of 10 p.m. and 1 a.m., there were 73 calls to and from the 911 center for city resources. 35 of them alone were for downed limbs or trees. Approximately 9 of them were from downed power lines, and then fires, medical issues, EMS runs that we were still taking care of. So huge thank you to our workforce last night and our workforce throughout the day trying to get the community cleaned up. We're not done yet. We're still going to be working on it, but with the temperatures outside, our crews, our folks were working their tails off. So we're very appreciative of that. I wanted to make sure you were all aware of that.
Huge thank you to Matt Hannicrat and the
Yes.
911 folks for coordinating all that.
Definitely.
Yep.
If anybody had access to a radio last night, you would have heard the 911 communication center handling everything amazing. I mean, they were coordinating multiple fire departments, multiple police departments, sheriff's departments, everybody. And so, yeah, huge thank you to our 911 folks as well. Other weather issues, we are obviously, based on the National Weather Service's excessive heat warning for the next day, going to be experiencing not just power losses, power outages still from that storm, but excessive heat for our residents. As of 1:20 p.m., there are 649 Defiance residents still without power. But Toledo Edison is working to get that taken care of. That being said, there are multiple cooling stations available for our residents. Defiance College Library, Defiance Public Library, Senior Center, Northtown Mall, Sherwood Library, Johnson Memorial Library out in Hicksville, and then any of our splash pads or pools. So we want to make sure that the residents are aware of that through this time. And that is all I have.
Thank you very
Mr.
much.
President.
Mr. O'Donnell?
Well, nor do I wish to overshadow Mr. Leonard, although we wish him well. As a younger member of the Board of Control coming in, I could always count on him to go into his office and pick his brain, like, why would OEPA take this interpretation of the regulation? Or why did the Detroit Tigers leave that pitcher in the first inning? They gave up 9 runs. And Jeff would have his theory and could calm me down. But I would request a second executive session to consider the confidential information related to personal financial statements of an applicant for economic development assistance, where both the information involves the extension of utility services directly related to an economic development project, and unanimous quorum of this body, that's you, determines by roll call vote that the executive session is necessary to protect the possible investment or expenditure of public funds to be made in connection with the economic development project. And that would be under 121.22G8 of the Ohio Revised Code, Mr. President.
So we have a request for executive session. Do we have a motion? Mr. Corbett?
Second.
Second, Mr. Hancock. Mr. Corbett?
Yes.
Mr. Waxler?
Yes.
Mr. Engel?
Yes.
Mr. Hancock?
Yes.
And Mr. Mast?
Yes.
All right, so we have a second executive session before we adjourn for this evening. Anything else?
That's all I have for the moment.
We do have 2 items of legislation for consideration tonight. The first one being a second reading, an ordinance accepting the annexation of 52.371 acres of land located in Defiance Township, Defiance County, Ohio. Mr. O'Donnell.
Thank you, Mr. President. As you indicate, this is the second reading for this final annexation ordinance provided for under Section 709.04 of the Ohio Revised Code. As council, you have around 60 days. You have 60 days exactly to accept or reject this petition. We've already requested, from the control, we've already requested 3 readings of this bill. Seeing that you only have 5 voting members here, you can't suspend the rules anyway, but it will come back for a final reading on June 28th, pending a successful motion to let consideration of the matter lie.
Do we have any questions for Mr. O'Donnell in these regards?
Motion.
Motion to let lie. Here, I'm doing my paperwork as we're talking. Motion and second, Mr. Corbett? Mr. Mast?
Yes.
Mr. Corbett?
Yes.
Mr. Waxler?
Yes.
Mr. Engel?
Yes.
Mr. Hancock?
Yes.
We will let this motion lie until it's heard when we reconvene next time on June 28th. Here. And second up, the first reading for a resolution submitting the question of renewal of a tax in excess of the 10 mil limitation to the electors of the Defiance Municipal Library District at the general election to be held on November 8th, 2022.
Thank you, Mr. President. Here in Defiance, we have what's called a municipal library system under that statutory scheme, but whose territory encompasses the entire county. I'm not sure why it's that way, and I haven't had a chance to go out and visit the county historian, Mr. Buckman, but you're welcome to beat me to the punch, but there's a reason for that, but I'm not sure why that is. But I can tell you, back in 2007, voters passed a 3/4 mil levy that's over the 10 mil limitation for library levies, and it's been renewed actually twice for the 2013 to 2017 calendar years and the 2018 to 2022 calendar years, respectively. So that means it's theoretically, if it were to continue, it would be up for renewal at this November 8th upcoming general election. So this would be the 3rd renewal of that 0.75 mil levy. And as counsel for the municipal library system, you are the taxing authority. The Library Board of Trustees passed a resolution back on May 25th recommending that you take this action and formally submit the question to the County Board of Elections, and by virtue of that, to the electorate throughout the county. So by passing this resolution, you'd be formally submitting that question to all the voters who reside here in Defiance County. And again, there's only 5 of you here, so if you wish to advance this resolution, your best bet is to let consideration of this matter lie.
With 5 council members, we can't suspend the rules, but do we have any questions for Mr. O'Donnell in these regards?
I'll make a motion to let lie.
Motion to let lie. Mr. Hancock.
Second.
Second, Mr. Mast. Mr. Corbett.
Yes.
Mr. Waxler.
Yes.
Mr. Engel.
Yes.
Mr. Hancock.
Yes.
And Mr. Mast.
Yes.
All right. We will let the motion lie until we reconvene in 2 Tuesdays on the 28th. With the items of legislation addressed, do we have any citizens' concerns? Would anyone like to ask a question of council, perhaps make a comment before we enter executive session?
Come on, Jane, you wanna
I was
ask him
thinking
something? Do
this.
it now.
Mr. Leonard. No, you're gonna be respectful and kind. All right, well, thank you. We can stretch our legs and chat for a few moments before we enter the 2 executive sessions.
We're here to help you, Jeff.
What's that?
We're here to help